Greetings. You have your ticket? You don't have one, my friend? Just hit the subscription button below. Come on in. Hey guys, I just want to take a moment, to repeat again a public service announcement that you've heard me talk about from time to time. And that subject matter is a very serious subject matter, and far too often taken for granted by most everyday, Americans. And the subject matter I'm talking about again is human trafficking. And let me tell you a quick little story. Just heard a guy just now got a message from his niece saying that his niece and her daughter were in a department store, and they were surrounded by two Mexican men, and they started asking her all kind of questions about her little daughter, how old she was, did she speak Spanish, did asking the mother, does she have other children? Pretty much blocked her into the aisle, and the lady literally had to drag her daughter past them, and the cashier happened to take notice of what was going on. The men run out of the store, they get into a pickup truck, a red pickup truck, and they drive off. And again, it could happen just that fast. And you've heard me talk about it before. Parents, when you're out and about with little children, your children, and it's not just little children, but little children, you have to make sure that that child is secure. You should never be in the store and your child is walking out in front of you or your child is trailing behind you. And I see it all the time. I saw it several times this past week in some of the big shopping stores, i.e. Walmart, where you see the little kid, the mother's on one aisle, the kid's at the other end of the aisle. And she's looking at the product, and the kid is just kind of, just doing what kids typically do, wandering around. Someone just that quick can snatch that child away. Guys, I want to say this again. If you have little children with you, that child should be in a buggy. That child should be instructed, well prepped before you even get out of the car, to hold on to your dress, hold on to your pants. Always be making contact with you, regardless of where you are inside of any public places, guys. Unless that place is controlled and sealed off and someone is paying close attention to, in other words, it's a controlled environment which would make it safe. Now let me give you some more statistics. Again, as a reminder, there are 20 to 30 million people in the world who are in forced slave labor right now today in 2019. Anywhere between 20 to 30 million. In addition, coming across the United States border, you're talking about anywhere from 600 to 800,000 humans being trafficked across our borders. 80% of those being trafficked are women, 20% are children. So again, as you start looking around and start understanding, the different layers behind, immigration and the borders and, and all of those things that are going on right now, be careful that you don't get distracted. Okay, in other words, you get lured away into focusing on, being so empathetic of what's going on in the detention centers that nobody is paying attention to those who are not being held in the detention centers, but who someone is taking around, underground or around the border and continuing, this wicked, evil process. Now, here's a couple of things. I'm looking this up, and I'll show you this. It says, can you see that? 11 facts about human trafficking. And I think I've shared this before in a previous video, but you know what? There's a wise saying that teaching is repeating till learning has occurred. Again, teaching is repeating till learning has occurred. So you know what? It doesn't matter if you say the message 5 times or 25 times or 100 times. We need to continue to talk about this and talk about this and talk about this, because I think this is a problem probably will never end. But you don't have to be a victim, or someone that you love does not have to be a victim to human trafficking, slave trafficking, okay? But here are 11 things, and I'm going to read these off real quick. Number 1, trafficking involves transporting someone into a situation of exploitation. This can include forced labor, forced marriage, prostitution, or organ removal. In other words, some of these people are being stolen or kidnapped to steal their internal organs, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry, okay? But for organ removal, this kind of exploitation is known by a few different names. Human trafficking, trafficking of persons, and modern slavery are ones accepted by the United States Department, by the U.S. Department of State. So I guess that's the State Department. Number two, it's estimated that internationally there are between 20 to 40 million people in modern slavery today. Assessing the full scope of human trafficking is difficult because so many cases so often go undetected, something the United Nations refers as the hidden figure of crime. Number three, estimates suggest that internationally only about 0.4% of survivors of human trafficking cases are identified, less than 0.5%, meaning that the vast majority of cases of human trafficking go undetected. Once they've got your child or your loved one, you can pretty much kiss it goodbye. You know what I'm saying? It's like leaving your wallet on the side of on a park bench, and and not remembering that you left it there for a day and a half. You can forget your wallet is going to be gone, and you know that, and I know that, and everybody else knows that. So my point is, if they get your child or snatch your child, you're not going to see that child or that loved one again. Okay? And I say child, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your wife, it could be your sister. Just keep that in mind. Okay? Number four, human trafficking earns global profits of roughly, this is profits, not sales, profit, money in their pockets. This is after all expenses. $150 billion a year for traffickers, $99 billion of which come from commercial sexual exploitation, i.e. think Robert Kraft. Globally, an estimated 71% of enslaved people are women and girls, while men and boys account for 29%. Number six, estimates suggest about 50,000 people are trafficked each year, most often outside of the United States, not across our borders, from out of the United States. 50,000 people are trafficked. Often, these people are trafficked, I guess, to Mexico or the Philippines, if I'm understanding this correctly. Number seven, in 2018, over half of the criminal human traffic cases active in the United States were sex trafficking cases involving only children. Number eight, reports indicate that a large number of sex trafficking survivors in the U.S. were at one time in the foster care system. Number nine, advocates report a growing trend of traffickers using online social media platforms to recruit and advertise targets of human trafficking. So, you got a lot of your young people, a lot of these kids, on these tablets, on these notebooks, and these kids are interacting with people, and sometimes the parents, you parents, are not following up and checking to look at what your children are doing with these tablets and notebooks, and they could be very well talking to someone who's pretending to be a child, and this is someone who is setting them up to be snatched or kidnapped or taken away, to some type of, network to get your child. So social media, again, is a gateway to being able to identify victims to be taken advantage of, guys. Potential victims, I'm sorry. Number 10, the average age of teens entering the sex trade in the United States is 12 to 14 years old. Again, 12 to 14 years old. Any of you guys have any children 12 or 14 year olds? You know any kids? If you don't know any children 12 to 14, go to your local high school and just go look at the sixth graders. Just go to a PTA, or anyway, just, ask the visitor school, just go look at the girls who are in sixth grade. That's who they're taking. That's the average age, sixth graders. So that understand clearly. And a lot of these sixth graders are on the phone, on their internet, on social media, on their phones, and most parents are not even paying attention to what's going on with these girls until something tragic happens. Okay? Again, the average age of teens entering into the sex trade, guys, goodness gracious, in the U.S. is 12 to 14 years old. Many victims are runaway girls who were sexually abused as children. Those kind of people need to be beheaded, need to be decapitated. They need to be thrown gasoline on, burned at the stake. Anytime you sexually molest a child, you're not fit to be alive on this planet, in my opinion. And the last but not least, number 11, in 2018, the National Human Trafficking Hotline received more calls from California than any other state in the U.S. So if you have relatives in California, you probably need to share this video with them. Let them know. Make a phone call. Remind them. What are you doing? Are you looking at the social media? Are you going into the markets or the stores? Are you keeping an eye? Who are your little girls hanging out? Are they hanging out at the mall with their other friends? Are there other parents dropping off your daughter or your kids with their kids and leaving them and coming back later? All these guys are potential, all these places are potential hotspots. You got to think about this, guys. That old saying, out of sight, out of mind. Again, number 11, 2018, the National Human Trafficking Hotline received more calls from California than any other state in the U.S., followed by Texas, yes, Texas, and Florida, respectively. And last but not least, to contact the Human Traffic Hotline, and you ought to have this number on your refrigerator, guys. Not stuck in your wallet, right on your refrigerator. So that if there's ever a problem or if you ever have suspicion, maybe on your refrigerator and maybe in your glove compartment in your car. Because that way, if you see something funny, once you get in your car, you can make that phone call. Or better yet, just put it in your phone and save it in your phone and put it under Sex Trafficking Hotline. But here's that number, 1-888-373-7888. Okay? Again, 888-373-7888. Okay? So guys, please heed this. Please heed the warning. Just gave you an example where someone almost ended up in a, snatched away a little girl from her parents. Or maybe they're going to take both of them. Who's to say? And that's why, again, you need to be thinking. You need to be prepared. And ladies, I'm going to say this to you again. You need to be protecting yourself when you're out in public these days. You need to, I am serious. I know a lot of you guys are anti-gun advocates and things of that nature because somehow or another you think, guns are a threat to people. Bad people are a threat to people. You heard the guy stab 4 people the other day with a knife. Yesterday. Killed 4 people. I'm sorry, stabbed 4 to death. And stabbed 4 to death. 4 died. And he stabbed 6. 4 died and 2 others were injured with a knife. So, but again, that's neither here nor there. I don't care. Have a knife. Have something to at least give yourself a fighting chance and be aware of your surroundings. You get out the car, look around, see who's around. When you're coming out of places and it's twilight or dark, look around. Before you go to your car, look around the car. Before you get in the car, walk around the car. Look inside the car to see if somehow somebody's gotten in your car. If there's a car parked next to your car, check that car out. Look at that car really good. See if there's someone in the car. You follow me? Get on your phone. Call someone. Say, hey, look, I just calling you because I'm about to get in my car, and I just want to make sure everything is safe because something happened. I'm going to tell you to call 911 right away. Whatever it takes, guys. Whatever it takes. But please, 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 please be careful. And for Yahweh's sake, protect the children. Okay, don't. Come on, guys. If it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to, and that means me is you, okay? So if it's to be, it's up to us if we're going to watch and save our children and our loved ones. All right? DFG, public service warning again. Guys, sex trafficking is all around you. You're just not noticing it. Talk to you guys soon.